Hey guys, welcome to Plan the Day on Tomorrow. My name is Gary Thurman, CEO and founder of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to us on the radio and or watch us on Facebook or YouTube. We appreciate you guys more than you know, and getting so many people calling in to request some of our guides, to request one of my books. We'll be giving you all that information as we go throughout the show. We're actually doing 3 different guides today. And then, of course, my book that we'll send to you absolutely free. And today's show is going to be kind of interesting. And I titled this, The Healthcare and Income Puzzle Retirement. There's a lot of puzzle that goes in, a lot of confusion that goes into those 3 things. And we're going to talk about Social Security today in the first segment. We're going to talk about Medicare with Tanner in the second segment. We're going to talk about long-term care planning in the third segment. And then we're going to wrap it all together in the fourth segment and really give you some insights on how to plan for all 3 of these things, because all 3 of these, Medicare, Social Security, and long-term care planning, are going to be vital to your retirement being happy. We got a special guest today. I'll introduce him first, Mr. Tanner Moore, our healthcare specialist. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you, Gary?
Doing great. So glad you're in here with us today. We got Tim McDermott. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fantastic. I feel like we need an audience, for the special guest part. Do we have like a clap?
Well, yeah,
effect
hand
over
claps.
there?
Yeah, we need some hand clap in here. Yeah, there you go.
Special guest indeed.
That's right. And of course, we got Bobby Futch in here.
Last but not least.
Bobby's my co-pilot today.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of the table this time.
Talk to me, Goose.
I kind of like it.
Talk to
Yeah.
me, Goose. I like it. But again, thank you guys for being here today. We're going to have so much fun. And I want to start off with Social Security, gentlemen, because I do feel it's the foundation of retirement income planning. And there's hundreds of ways that an individual and our couples can file for Social Security. And you can make some really big mistakes if you file at the wrong time, if you file too early, maybe you file too late. And we like to use the word optimize your Social Security benefit because we do think it's that foundation. But, Tim, I'm going to start with you on this. Why do we always say that Social Security is the foundation of any retirement planning?
Yeah. Well, when we're doing retirement planning, it usually starts with that income. Where does your income come from? We've worked our entire lives to build this pool of money. We may even have set a goal of $1 million, $2 million to try and hit, right? And we have to then take that pile of money and turn it into an income stream that will support our retirement lifestyle. And when we're starting that retirement income plan, we want to look at Social Security. Social Security kind of becomes the base of that income model because we know it's guaranteed. Mm-hmm. It's also adjusted for inflation.
That's correct.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And here's where I'll drag in Tanner.
And Tanner might get into that a little bit here in a few minutes.
we could talk about disagreeing on that one maybe.
It is inflated, but it has its drawback to it. We'll cover that in just a few minutes. You mentioned earlier about hundreds of ways to file Social Security. I believe there's around 540 ways to file
correct.
Social Security.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ways that if you're not familiar with the rules and the laws and how they change every so often, it can be a hard thing to do. We want to make sure we understand where that Social Security is. We want to optimize. Gary says this all the time. Optimize that Social Security. We like that a lot better than maximizing.
Right.
Because maximizing insinuates that we kind of have to delay, and that's not always the best case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Bobby, I'll follow up what Tim just said. So Tim's talking about how important it is because it's like building a house. You got to have that foundation, and It's got to be in good shape first. That's how we look at Social Security. But what kind of mistakes are actual people making when it comes to Social Security planning? What are some of the mistakes they're making out there?
I think a lot of people get enamored with the number, right? They get that Social Security statement either in the mail or they go online and they say, well, I can start as early as 62 and it's $1,500, or man, if I wait till 70, it's over $2,000, right? And so what I think a lot of people do is get hung up on trying to maximize, right? Get the biggest number, at the detriment to the rest of their retirement plan. That's 8 years you have to wait to start that guaranteed cornerstone income in retirement. And I think people get hung up on that. You really need to see if you're retired at 60, 62, 65, and you need the income, go spend Uncle Sam's money.
Yeah.
So people wait too long a lot of times, in my opinion.
It's interesting you say that. So Ron and I are coming home yesterday. We've been out in California, and we're flying home, and we're talking shop. We had our little vacation time, so now it's back to business, right? And we're talking about this particular firm, and you guys, of course, you're the legacy plan with this firm, and we're talking about when is that going to happen. And one of the biggest things I said, Bobby, is like, well, I'm kind of want to turn on my Social Security first. Like, I mean, even here I am. I think, and yes, Tanner, I'm close to that age. Quit laughing. Quit laughing, Tanner.
I've already got my leads ready. I'm sending them in the mail to them.
Tanner's got the date circled when Gary's going to apply. But it's just amazing to me. Here I am 10 years out. And that's me taking it early. I'm 10 years out, but I'm already thinking about it. Don't you think that's important for people to be thinking about it that early, Tim?
Yeah, I certainly would. The conversation, the thought process probably does need to start. There's a lot of legislation that changes all the time, right? And so the laws may be a little bit different. The rules, the way you can, optimize it may be a little bit different than 10 years down the road. But it's worth, having that conversation and starting the thought process on.
Yeah, I'm going to bring Tanner in here because Tanner will very soon be a registered Social Security advisor.
That's right.
You've been going through all the work and planning and testing, and we're excited about you being a registered Social Security advisor. Tanner, I think one of the biggest mistakes married couples make is not coordinating with the spouse. That's all about conversation.
Absolutely. I just had a case actually a few weeks ago. They're prospects of mine on the Medicare side. He's 2 years older than she is, right? He's already 69 years old. He's retired, right? He had no idea about being full retirement age. He was waiting until age 70, he said, to turn on Social Security, right? But it ended up, conversation started going one way, and he was like, so you're telling me that, I can go ahead and turn it on right now? I can still work, make whatever I want to since I'm already full age? Yep. Said absolutely. And so ended up working to the point where he's going to end up turning it on so his spouse can also have her spousal benefit as well.
And a lot of times we see that, usually one spouse will work in the home, raise kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So their earned income on paper is much lower than the other spouse. And so they could be able to draw on their other spouse's benefit.
Yeah.
And a lot of times get more of a benefit than they would on their own record.
And you'd be surprised at how many folks don't even know that a spousal benefit exists.
I know.
Correct.
We've had a handful of folks come in and, the wife or the husband may have not worked. They may have stayed home, raised kids, taken care of their parents while they were sick. They may have worked and not had enough credits to have Social Security on their own, but they still get that spousal credit. And a lot of folks aren't familiar with that.
And here's the thing. If you go to the Social Security Administration and just turn on your
Right.
they're not going to tell you about it, right? You have to know about it and ask for it.
Well, and I think, Bobby, Social Security Administration, working with the local Social Security Administration, but also I think a lot of people are in situations, maybe they're working with a big box store, as we call them. They don't care when they turn it on. Turn it on when you want to.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, they're not showing them how to optimize. Do you guys agree with that?
Agreed. Much agreed. You need to know the questions to ask. You need to be prepared when you go in there and know at least a couple of the options and be prepared to ask those questions along the way.
So, I mean, I know we had a couple up in Knoxville not too long ago. They're both 62 years old. They were ready to turn it on because they are retired already. Their biggest concern was health insurance. But what we showed them, Brogan and I sat down with them and said, look, we can turn on his right now because he was the breadwinner of the family. And we can delay yours until 65, 66, 67. And they didn't even know they could do that. Yep. They thought they both had to turn it on, Tanner. And I'm sure in all your studies, you're seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm also seeing a lot of, Medicare planning is primarily what I've done with our firm, right? And talking about Medicare enrollment, Social Security facilitates Medicare's enrollment.
Right.
So you can log into your Social Security account online, ssa.gov, when you're 64. If you're ready to apply for benefits with Medicare, you can turn on Part A and Part B starting 3 months before your birth month, right?
Yep.
Now, when you go into that application on socialsecurity.gov, they also ask you, do you want to turn on your Social Security as well with this? And so there's an option to say no, Medicare only, or turn on both, right? They make it a little easier for people to do that. But again, there's no advice given to them with that. And so one office doing two different plannings and enrollments, it can get confusing for that person.
Cause a lot of conflict.
Correct.
A lot of confusion.
Absolutely. And that's a conversation I tell them it is two separate decisions from each other.
Yeah. If you're watching or listening to us today, one of the biggest things we would love to do for you is just have you come in. Let's look at your Social Security. Let's start planning that foundation of income for you to make sure you optimize it. And look, we're not charging to do this. This is something we like to do to give back to our community. Let us show you and educate you on Social Security benefits. Now, I'm going to give you two different numbers to write down right now. If you're in the Chattanooga area, 423-710-9199. If you're up in Knoxville, 865-591-7526. I'm going to give you two options right now that you can do. One, you can get our 2026 Social Security Guide. All you need to do is take one of those two numbers and text SS 2026, SS 2026 to 423-710-9199 or Knoxville 865-591-7526. And as always, we offer my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Now, a couple things you can do. Those same two numbers, text the word book, 423-710-9199 or 865-591-7526. Or you can go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. Love to give you a guide. Love to give you a copy of my book. Sit down, read them. Come in and see the guys, Tim, Bobby, Tanner here in Chattanooga. Go see Brogan up in Knoxville. Let's start planning your Social Security right now so you can optimize it when the timing is right. Now, when we come back, we're going to jump into Medicare. And I think Medicare is one of the biggest pitfalls people make mistakes on when headed into retirement. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Tanner and more Medicare conversation.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis. Welcome back to Plan the Day, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. Thanks again for joining us on the radio and our on Facebook, our YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Again, write these phone numbers down. Chattanooga residents, 423-710-9199. If you're up in Knoxville, 865-59, did I say that right? 951-7526, sorry. Write those numbers down because we're going to give you an option to get some quizzes here in a few minutes and, of course, my book. 423-710-9199, 865-591-7526. I said it incorrectly there a few minutes ago.
Thanks for clarifying. That
Yeah.
first one was like 18 digits long.
I'm like, my gosh, that is a long phone number, Gary. Okay, we're jumping into Medicare planning with our senior healthcare advisor, Mr. Tanner Moore. Tanner, I read this morning out of the Wall Street Journal. Boomers redefine old age. The number of Americans who are turning 80 or older is close to 15 million people.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of people turning 80. We are living longer, which we'll dive into in a few minutes, but 15 million people, 80 plus?
That's one of my favorite words, octogenarians.
Yep.
We have 15
See, I didn't even
million
say that word because I'm
octogenarians.
from Dayton, Tennessee. I don't know how to say that word. Just being honest with you guys there. But, Tanner, I do think Medicare, one, is confusing. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the media. Oh, I'll just call that phone number, or I'll just do what my uncle did, or I'll do what my cousin did, whatever the case may be. But I want to get into, here's my first question. When should someone start thinking about Medicare planning?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. They should start thinking about that really when you turn 64. I would say about a year out of 65. To start having that casual conversation with your spouse, start doing a little bit of research on your own. You're going to get your Medicare and You handbook that's going to come in the mail when you're 64, really talking about all things Medicare. It's over 100 pages. Honestly, you can look through it. It's helpful a little bit, but it's also confusing. So, finding somebody and finding an agent is really the key. Somebody that's licensed, that is going to offer both sides of the road for you, too.
That's right.
You're suggesting not waiting until age 65. And
Absolutely. Now, the common pitfall that I see a lot of, right, and I'm just going to pose this question.
Sure.
Health insurance is health insurance. It's not sexy, right? We technically really aren't using it for our daily use, where it's designed for us in the event that, we get really sick or we have an accident or critical illness. So I'm going to pose the question for all three of you. Do you really look at your health insurance often?
I just had a baby, so yes, I did. But you're right.
Yeah,
People don't look
and
at
paying
it.
that bill every month. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And, but benefit wise and looking at your benefits,
No.
sometimes
Probably once a year, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go pull people off the street, and out of 10 people, 9 out of 10 won't know their deductibles or max out of pockets, right? And so, really, what that means is a lot of people wait to the last minute,
Right.
And then they get overwhelmed because it is so complicated. And so,
And how long does it take Medicare to right? So even after you've decided on a plan, and then you have to go online and kind of submit your paperwork and everything, how long does it take them to kind of process that, right?
that's a very, very open-ended question,
Okay.
Tim. Really, when it comes to original Medicare and going into original Medicare enrollment, Parts A and B, right?
Yep.
You will have Medicare benefits that you're eligible for the first day of your birth month when you turn 65.
Okay.
Right? Now, that's for everybody that's born on days 2 through 30, 31 within a month, right? The people that are born on the first day of a month actually retroactively have Medicare benefits start the month prior
Oh, okay.
to that, right?
Interesting.
Most people, it's going to be the first of their birth month, right? But if you're born on April the 1st, right? And when you turn 65, you technically can start Medicare in March 1st.
So that's why this planning window matters.
It does matter,
I mean,
absolutely.
don't wait till the last minute and just take any type of Medicare plan. Start being proactive and making sure you're on the right plan.
Correct. And Medicare has a lot of acronyms in our world, right? The biggest one for that person turning 65 is IEP, Initial Enrollment Period. It's a 7-month window that revolves around your birth month being in the middle. So you have 3 months before you turn 65, you have your birth month, and you have 3 months after you turn 65 to make that initial enrollment. Now, the key here is that a lot of people do wait to the last moment. Then they get overwhelmed with how confusing the laws are when it comes to, do I need to take Medicare when I turn 65? Because if you have an employer-sponsored plan that is credible coverage in the eyes of Medicare, you can defer Medicare out until you come off of that plan. You could be 70 when you retire and you have great work coverage that Medicare says is as good as our health plan, on Medicare. So how do you find that out? You call your human resources department. They will tell you if it is as good as Medicare, right?
But you've done a lot of comparison as well.
Yeah.
With stay on your employer plan or go on Medicare.
That's exactly what we do. And that's where the dreaded penalty comes into play. A lot of people talk about this myth of this penalty, right? Yep. It can be a myth to some people, but it also can be really true for a lot of others. And it all depends on what kind of coverage they have as they're turning 65 and beyond. If it's an employer-sponsored plan that is as good as Medicare, right? Your employer is going to know that. Ask your human resources department, right? It can be your plan or your spouse's plan, right? You can defer Medicare out until you come off of that plan. Now, when you come off of that plan, let's say you're 70, you need to make sure within 60 days you're getting that enrollment done so that penalty doesn't start for you, right?
So if you're someone out there and you're listening or watching us right now, if you're 64 years old, now is the time to get with Tanner. Start planning now so you can jump ahead of time. But now, Tanner, folks that are already 65 and above,
Yeah.
they have an opportunity coming up in our open enrollment, which is October 15th through December the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the time of year where you sit down, even with your current clients and new people coming in all the time, this is when they have the opportunity to maybe make a change?
Yes.
If they're already on Medicare.
Yeah, exactly. Again, another acronym for you. IEP was the first one when you turn 65, that initial enrollment period. When it's open enrollment, AEP is the annual enrollment period. So this is for anybody already on Medicare, right? So you're going to be on Medicare. You have a plan. Let's just throw it out there. I've got original Medicare with a Medicare supplement that backs it, and I have a drug plan, right? Open enrollment is for that drug plan, that Part D drug plan. That's
So you're not changing your Part B or anything with Medicare Part
Everybody
C,
gets
right?
Part B, right?
That's correct. You're not changing anything with A or B, right? It's only Part D if you're on that original Medicare side with a supplement and a drug plan, right?
Yeah.
The other side of the road when it comes to your options, you can be on that first side, or you can be on what's called the Part C side, which is a Medicare Advantage plan. That is a Medicare approved plan through a private insurance company. it's also designed for those Part C plans. So I tell people all the time, you're going to be on one side or the other, right? So you're either going to have a Part C plan or you're going to have a Part D plan. So it's really good to always review that plan come open enrollment.
Can you switch back and forth on those plans each year?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's exactly what it's designed for.
Awesome.
On there. And now, it takes somebody that's helping plan, that's educating you on this to make sure you're doing this, because when it comes to underwriting, Medicare supplements have health questions involved with that application. So I'm going to throw a case out there that was last AEP for us, right? Client came in, not our client, actually a prospect came in.
Sure.
They were on an Advantage plan already, a Part C plan. They wanted to go back to original Medicare, A and B.
Sure.
And they wanted to choose a Medicare supplement and a drug plan, right? 2 different cases, actually, this happened. One, I did the field underwriting because I understand what are on those health questions.
Sure.
The first prospect I knew could underwrite to that Medicare supplement. Makes total sense for that person to go back and get A and B original as primary, get that supplement, and get that drug plan. The second prospect, I said, stay where you are because you won't be able to pass the underwriting for that Medicare supplement.
So that brings up a really important point to why you should be planning ahead before you're 65, because correct me if I'm wrong, Tanner, the first time you get into Medicare, you're guaranteed issued any plan that you really want, right?
Absolutely, and obviously I'll keep these, hush hush when it comes to this client I have. I won't even say if it's a male or a female, right? On an employer-sponsored plan, this person currently has cancer, unfortunately. They are on their spouse's employer-sponsored plan. They are turning 65. It was a few months ago. They said, I don't know if I should stay on my plan or go on to Medicare, right? I ran the numbers for this said person. It made sense affordability-wise to come off of the employer plan, going on to Medicare, choosing a supplement and a drug plan.
Yep.
First time you go into Medicare, you're guaranteed issued that policy.
So you better get on the one that you want, because they probably won't qualify for a different plan.
That person, correct, I would highly advise a Medicare supplement route for that person. Approved within 2 days, issued, has been perfect for that person. Saved them thousands of dollars in chemo treatments.
So I know we didn't get through. I got a couple more questions I'd like to ask you going into the third segment when it comes to Medicare. But I want to take the next segment, finish up Medicare, then jump into some long-term care planning, because there's a couple other things about Medicare I think everybody needs to know. Folks, here's the simplest way to get on top of your Medicare game, and that's to get our Medicare guide. We give it to you absolutely free. So if you're interested and you're in Chattanooga, text the word Medicare, 423-710-9199. If you're up in the Knoxville area, text the word Medicare, 865-591-7526. And in my book, Plan Today on Tomorrow, Medicare is a big part of that book. If you'd like a copy of that book, you can do a couple of different things. Go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com, or take those same 2 numbers in Chattanooga and Knoxville and text the word book. Again, Chattanooga, 423-710-9199. Knoxville, 865-591-7526. Also, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you can click that QR code at the bottom of your screen right now. That'll take you right to our offer for our book, and we'll get it sent right out to you. So again, when we come back, guys, I got a couple more questions I want to ask Tanner about Medicare. Then we're going to jump in with Bobby, and we're going to start talking about some long-term care planning. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss the next segment. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Gary Thurman, owner and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. For years, our team has helped thousands of retirees and pre-retirees build a confident, predictable, and stress-free retirement plan. If you've worked hard for 30, 40 years, you deserve a retirement that works for you, not one filled with uncertainty, rising healthcare costs, or market concerns. At Guardian Investment Advisors, we take a comprehensive approach to retirement. That means we help you with building a reliable income plan so you know exactly where your paychecks will come from. Navigate Medicare with clarity, making sure you pick the right coverage to avoid costly mistakes. Preparing for long-term care needs with smart planning and protection strategies. Managing your investments with a personalized portfolio tailored to your goals, risk tolerance, and your retirement timeline. Reduce taxes wherever possible with proactive planning so you keep more of your hard-earned savings. You deserve a retirement plan built specifically for you, not a one-size-fits-all approach. Plan your retirement the right way. Call us today or connect with us using one of the many options below. Let's get started empowering your retirement right now. Thank you. Hey folks, welcome back to Plan Today on Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, founder and CEO of Guardian Investment Advisors. We're having a great show today. Again, thank you for taking the time to listen to us on the radio and watch our show on Facebook and YouTube. So we talked about Social Security planning earlier, gentlemen, which we think is the foundation of any income plan. Then we got straight into Medicare with Tanner. I do think Medicare can be one of those confusing topics going in. I mean, gentlemen, I look at Medicare all the time, and it confuses me. Right, that's why we have Tanner on staff, because you guys are meeting with clients. They got Medicare questions. You can just go down the hall and bring Tanner into that conversation.
We tell people all the time that we know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah. That's
when they
exactly
have
what
those
we do.
questions, we go to Tanner.
You go to the specialist, which is our senior healthcare advisor, Tanner Moore. Tanner, I want to wrap things up talking about Medicare. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making with Medicare planning?
Yeah, I would say the biggest mistake that I see is somebody that, again, waits till the last moment, and then they just say, well, I'm just going to go with the easiest thing. I'm going to call the number. I'm going to answer the phone because, again, going back to our previous segment, when you're turning 64, starting it then, you're going to get bombarded. People are watching right now.
Yeah.
They're laughing right now because they know exactly. They're getting bombarded with cell phone calls, emails, letters, in the mail.
I see it. We go out to eat around October, November timeframe, and every TV in the restaurant has a Medicare commercial. That
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Have you seen my commercial? Yeah.
I have.
Okay. Just wondered. No, but it's confusing. You have unlimited options in enrolling because there's a lot of people out there that are helping people enroll into Medicare. But do they know you, right? Are they asking the right questions? Are they doing a proper needs analysis to make sure are you risky? Are you safe? What's your health like? Your doctors, your medications,
Yeah, your pharmacies.
pharmacies, all this goes into play in making sure that a recommendation is going to be suitable for that person, right? Because there are two different sides to Medicare that you can choose, and they're drastically different. And so that's probably the biggest mistake I see.
I love
People
it.
just don't do their due diligence on reaching out to somebody they trust. I'd love to help you if that's
Yep.
the case.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost any more for them to work with you versus that 800 number.
Or even go directly to the carrier.
Right.
Right. All of it. It's the same exact thing. The person you're calling on the 1-800 number or you're picking up the phone has the exact same licenses that I have. But do they know you? Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to call that person after you enroll?
Right.
More than likely, no. You're going to get somebody else in
Somebody
that call
else.
center.
Right.
Do they always represent more than one company?
That's another thing too, that you can ask them what they represent, right? But do you know that they can represent all the companies in your area? Because when it comes to these health insurance companies, especially with Part C plans and Part D plans in drugs, it's all based on your zip code.
That's
so
big.
you're going to have various carriers in one market, but maybe those carriers aren't in another market, and that can get confusing for, let's say, Joe and Cindy that live here, and their aunt and uncles, Tim and Barbara, live in Florida, right?
Yeah, big time.
Two completely different styles of plans.
Sure.
But, they're family, so we're going to talk to each other. Hey, how's your Medicare plan? Why do you have that? And it can get confusing if you don't educate yourself.
That's big. Again, if you'd like a guide, a Medicare guide, text the word text the word Medicare to 423-710-9199. If you're in Chattanooga, text the word Medicare in Knoxville, 865-591-7526. Bobby, I want to jump into long-term care planning because I think this is the risk nobody plans for. Nobody wants to have this conversation. But we know per facts that an individual turning 65, a healthy individual turning 65 is going to spend $170,000, $180,000 in general health care. That's a lot of money. That's in general health care. So that's, again, why Medicare planning is so important because of that right there. But we also know that health insurance is the most highly rated, highest inflated program that we have in our country, 5% a year on average, especially through now in 2034. 7 out of 10 people are going to need some type of long-term care. So why is long-term care planning such a big deal when it comes to your retirement planning?
Well, it's one of those things that no one hopes that they need to use it, right?
Correct.
And most people think it's not going to be me. Well, the stat you just shared, 7 out of 10, 70+% of people are going to need it. the odds are it's going to be you, right? So ignoring it is not a good thing, and it's expensive now. Even to have somebody come in your house, if you're healthy enough to be able to stay at your home, is expensive. God forbid you need to go into a facility.
Right.
You know, $8, $9, $10,000+ a year for most of our clients. And unless you plan for that, you know, you're going to add that on top of the budget you already have for retirement. It can absolutely devastate a retirement plan. And what often, if you are talking about long-term care with people, most people don't talk about the emotional side of it.
Oh my gosh, it's huge.
It's a
Yeah.
big number, right?
Yeah.
You can't overlook the monetary aspects of it. But, you know, if you have to start taking care of a spouse, you know, his health is starting to fail, there's part of that too. And so being able to pay the bills is certainly one thing, but being able to set them up and provide them with what they need to be able to care for that sick spouse is big.
Yeah, so Tim, when it comes to long-term care planning, again, this is a conversation nobody wants to talk about. None of us want to be sick, but we're living longer. You saw the article. We've got 15 million people in the United States turning 80 or older right now, which is big to me. What are people getting wrong?
Yeah. One of the big things we see is I've got Medicare now. That'll probably cover it, right?
I thought you said you had Medicare. I was ready to help review your plan. Okay, sorry.
Does it cover long-term care, Tanner?
We can talk about that. Schedule an appointment, please.
It probably doesn't, right? In fact, if you're doing it the perfect way, it may cover the first 100 days at the hospital and nothing else afterwards.
That's important because that's a common misconception.
It is. It's a big
And
one.
can I add a little bit to what you just said right there? You know, when it comes to that skilled nursing facility care, it is under Part A of Medicare benefits, right?
Yep.
So hospitalization after a 3-day hospital stay, then you get transported to the skilled nursing care facility up to 100 days there after that qualifying hospitalization.
Straight from the hospital. Don't pass go. Don't go home. Don't get $200.
That's right.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's big. How does Medicare fall into long-term care planning, Tanner?
Yeah, so I mean, really, it's short-term care planning.
It
I
is.
mean, it's up to 100 days. Now, once you start to see those more elderly individuals, somebody may be watching right now. They've gone through it with their parents,
Right.
80, 90 plus. There is a little bit of a song and dance to going into the hospital, getting them to the facility, back to the hospital, and that cycle kind of goes over and over. Now, nobody likes doing that, moving around, right? But it's the system's way of helping the best way possible so they don't just have these overly inflated costs, right?
I think it's fair to say, at least from my standpoint, Medicare and long-term care planning are not the same at all. They're completely two
Absolutely
different
not.
things.
I totally agree. And the conversations I love having for people is it is truly short-term care. Like, understand that you're going to be covered a little over 3 months when it comes to the Medicare
That's
side.
it.
Is that really long-term care for you? Everybody says absolutely not.
No,
you know?
no. The average stay in a long-term care facility right now is 3.5 years. 3.5 years. So, I mean, that could cost you a lot of money.
That brings up a great point, right? If I can jump
No,
back
go
to
ahead.
one more big mistake that we see a lot is folks wait too long. Your health is one of your greatest assets, and once it's gone, you can't get it back, right? So make sure you're doing it while you're still healthy, while you can plan for it. Premiums will be lower. You'll get better benefits for
Yeah.
it. Plan ahead of time.
We're working with a couple in Knoxville right now. Husband and wife came in. They had a great plan. They were really doing okay, but he needed care. He needed care before waiting too long, Tim.
Yeah.
Within 3 years of him retiring, they did not have a plan for long-term care. He had a massive stroke. Cost them $300,000 to get him better. And Medicare didn't cover that. 300 G's out of their pocket, Tim. And that, boy, did that change everything for her.
Yeah.
Because how did that, it impacted her income plan? It impacted her tax planning, right, Tim? I mean, it increases everything for the spouse.
Listen, it's one of those things because I don't think it was ever on their radar not to pay the $300,000.
No,
They-
no, they're going to take care of him.
Right. They're going to take care of them. They're going to spend that money, which was, you know, probably initially designed for retirement.
Sure.
So what happens, God forbid, they spend that, and then it didn't work out, and he passed away. Now, she's still got the same retirement time frame, but she's like $300,000.
And she just went from the best tax bracket to the worst if he passes away.
And when you pull that kind of money out, especially from IRA accounts where it's all taxable money.
yeah.
Now, 2 years down the road, now your Medicare Part B premiums are inflated at the same time, right? So this is a domino effect where this one decision can make massive changes to everything else in the plan.
And again, that's why I think getting ahead of the game with Social Security planning, getting ahead of the game with Medicare planning, getting ahead of the game with if you're one of those 7 out of 10 people
Yeah.
that might get sick. We don't want you to get sick, but there's some really neat ways we can help folks plan for long-term care if you need it. Now, one of the things we're offering everybody today is our long-term care guide. If you are in the Chattanooga area, text the word LTC to 423-710-9199. If you're up in Knoxville, text the word LTC 865-591-7526. We'll also offer my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Healthcare planning is a big part of my book because I think it's one of the biggest pitfalls you can overlook in your retirement planning. In Chattanooga, text the word book, 423-710-9199. Knoxville, text the word book, 865-591-7526. You can also go to plantodayoffer.com, plantodayoffer.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you can click that QR code at the bottom of your screen. Now, when we come back, I think this is going to be a great segment because we're going to talk about how we wrap all of these three things together, Social Security, Medicare, and long-term care. We're going to talk about how we put that into a plan for you so you don't have to worry about one of these three pitfalls in your retirement plan. We'll be right back.
We know the market is going to get worse from here. This is the biggest monthly decline in 10 years. People's 401ks took a major hit.
Well, my investments are tanking. My retirement isn't going as planned. I can't believe I let my kid talk me into buying crypto. I mean, what is that anyway?
This was the fourth worst contraction in history.
So how are you two doing?
Your financial future doesn't have to be uncertain. I'm Gary Thurman with Guardian Investment Advisors. If you've amassed a nest egg, it's time for a financial advisor to help you reach your retirement goals. This is one of the greatest tax windows in history. Now is the time to take advantage of this tax discount while you can. All of our advisors are fiduciaries that specialize in retirement planning, tax mitigation, estate planning, and more. Plan your retirement right. Call now for your own complimentary portfolio review and tax analysis. Hey folks, welcome back to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. Gary Thurman, your host and founder of something's just dropped behind me. My book dropped behind me. Somebody is ordering our
What
book
a
right
segue.
now.
Somebody just text book.
Somebody
It
just
was
text book, and it's just
auto
trying to get
sending
out of here on us, which is hilarious. But we've been talking about Social Security planning, Medicare planning, and long-term care planning. And what I'm going to say is that these are not separate conversations. I think they all work together into one plan. And if you don't have a plan, then they're not working together because they all sure affect each other big time. And Tim, I'm going to jump in here with you. How do we connect all of these into one plan?
I got 4 words, 1 comma, and you won't even need a pen for it. Plan today, own tomorrow. If we plan for it right now, then we will be set for retirement. This is really the kicker. It's not some magic secret trick, right? We do a lot of planning behind the scenes. We run a lot of numbers. But if we just plan for it, you will know where the numbers come from. You'll know how to adjust for your plan. You'll know that if you get sick, that the income isn't affected. You'll know that we can take care of the tax side for it. It's just putting together a plan.
I mean, and Bobby, how does that all wrap together? I mean, what happens when people don't have a plan versus people that do have a plan?
Yeah, you're kind of shooting from the hip if you don't have a plan, right? And that's the cool thing about what Tim and I and Brogan do every day when we first meet somebody. You know, we come in and just have a conversation. What does retirement look like for you? The cool thing is that's different for everybody, and that's what we start to plan for. But if you don't do that, you know, you're kind of making emotional decisions a lot of times. You know, if to your point about your clients earlier up in Knoxville, they probably didn't plan to spend $300,000.
No, they did not.
But, you know, if you can plan for that, that the chance of that happening, then it has a lot less stress in your retirement. And really, you want to be able to spend what you want to spend in retirement. So that's where the income planning comes in. You know, a lot of people worry about overspending. That's certainly something you want to try to avoid. But, you know, in my opinion, equally as bad is underspending, right? If
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
so afraid that you're going to run out of money in retirement that you're eating beans and rice, although I like beans and rice. We had it for dinner last night. You want to be able to live the lifestyle you want to do, not be afraid of running out of money.
We do this really simply. We use a red, yellow, green bucket system in
Sure.
order to do the planning. Our red bucket being money that's out there in the market that has risk involved with it. Part of this big planning process is risk management, and that's where the green bucket comes into place. It helps with our income planning. It helps with our risk management. It helps with the long-term care planning aspect of things, and it is a big part of the plan in retirement. I just talked to a couple yesterday. They're young. They're making a really good money right now. And they asked about the markets and what's going on. And I said, you know what? These dips in the market are helping you guys because you're buying into them at low points. But that's why you hear people say we need to manage the risk when you go to retire, because the opposite is true. If you're starting to pull money out of these accounts when the market is taking a drop, instead of adding money to the accounts, the opposite's true and it starts to hurt you. That's why the green bucket's so important in retirement. It's why we need that guaranteed income stream. And it's why we need to be able to plan for the taxes, the long-term care, the health care decisions that are going to happen in retirement.
Tim, can you keep it a little bit more simple for somebody that's out there? Can you talk about accumulation versus preservation real
Yeah.
quick on that?
Yeah, so simply put, accumulation is what you want while you're young. Go out there and accumulate as much as you can, grow as much as you can. Preservation when you retire, that's where that switch happens. We go from accumulation to it's now more important that we hold on to those assets than we necessarily need to grow those assets, especially when we're pulling money out of them to live our lifestyle.
So what Tim's saying, Bobby, if someone's out there younger, in their 40s, even in their 50s, they might not need the green bucket right now. They may just be focused on the red bucket and the yellow bucket.
That's right. As you're trying to, in your peak earning years and while you're still working, almost all of your money should be in the red bucket. Now, but the one he didn't mention was the yellow bucket. That's important. That's your emergency
It
fund
doesn't
off
matter
to
if
the
you're
side.
young or old.
Everyone needs a yellow bucket, right?
Yeah.
But if you got a yellow bucket taken care of and you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, Gary, make yourself feel better.
Thank you, buddy.
Just you need to be hammering the red bucket, right? Because that's where you're going to get the most growth to set yourself up for a successful retirement.
I have one more question. Gary, is that why you hit a 5-iron off the tee and I hit a driver on the same hole?
That's because you're stupid.
true. That is true. That is true. I can go in the rough. Now, my short game's not great, but a little bit more safety with Gary
Yeah, you're a Bryson DeChambeau mentality.
without the Bryson DeChambeau, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. Which, by the way, if you've not watched his YouTube channel,
great.
it's so much fun.
I
I
bet-
just watched the one with Stephen Curry yesterday.
so
and it
I
was
bet
so
your
good.
ball goes just as far, maybe just in a different direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but when it goes in the right direction, it's pretty awesome to watch. I'll just be honest with you. Now, folks, if you're out there listening and watching, I did make a mistake on our Knoxville phone number, so I want to clear that up because we're offering some guides to you today. We're offering a Social Security guide. You text the word SS 2026 in Chattanooga, 423-710-9199. Here's where I made a mistake. In Knoxville, 865-951-7526. Those same two numbers, you can get SS 2026, text that. You get a Social Security guide. You can text the word Medicare to get our Medicare guide, or you can text the LTC to those same numbers to get our long-term care guide. Again, Chattanooga, 423-710-9199. Knoxville, 865-951-7526. Tanner, let's jump back into Medicare really quick.
Yeah.
Give me some final advice on Medicare planning.
Don't do it yourself. It can be really cumbersome, and have peace of mind in reaching out to somebody that you know you can trust. Again, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to be honest with you. There are people I turn away because they're on the right plan. It is what it is. But when that situation happens and that plan changes on them and they may not be looking at it during an open enrollment, I'm going to reach back out to them and say, hey, it's open enrollment. Did you get that annual notice of change with that plan? And so just do it the right way. Find a broker that you can trust, whether it's myself. There's other good ones out there. But have somebody local. Peace of mind, local is a big thing. And also review it.
That was my next question. How often should people be reviewing their Medicare plan?
Every year. And with
Okay.
our clients, it's as simple as I'm going to be reaching out in September, making sure that we're getting scheduled in October. And I feel like we do it the right way. We're going to be listening to you the first time and putting you in the proper plans that you want out the get-go. From there, the conversation may be short because they may be fine. Their health hasn't changed. Medications haven't changed. And it's a 2 to 3 minute phone call. Hey, you're great. Everything's good. We're staying as is for next year, right? Just maybe like a financial plan. Maybe somebody has an annuity that they're renewing and they need to look and talk about it with their advisor. It's the same style, when it comes to Medicare plans, but Maybe their needs have changed. Maybe the plan has changed benefit-wise. That's when you need that person who's
Yeah.
on top of it, that knows all those changes for you.
So,
year
same
in, year
question
out.
to Tim and Bobby. How often should folks be reviewing their whole retirement plan?
Yeah, I would agree with that. At least once a year.
At least.
At least once
Yeah.
a year. And to Tanner's point, it just kind of depends on where you're at in that process, right? If you've just retired and the paychecks have stopped and you're starting that distribution phase from your assets, you've turned on your guaranteed income sources, you need to meet more than that, right? We need to make sure it's working for you, it's comfortable, is the spending plan you put together realistic, those sorts of things. But I always like to think of these plans as like a GPS. You don't just punch it in your GPS and go, right? You're going to have detours along the way.
There's times where we start working with folks, and I may meet with them once a month for the first 6 months because they're in that important transition period of I'm retiring. My income's gone. I now got to kick on Social Security. I got to make sure Medicare's in place. I got to make sure that the long-term care plan's there, right? So these happen in steps, and the transition starts to happen. But after things are kind of set up for them, we may call them once a year, and they may not even call us back because they're on vacation and doing things, right?
Right.
So, but once a year is a good point of contact to have a conversation.
Unless something big changes in your life. You need to let
Well,
us
I was about to say,
right.
with retirement planning, Medicare planning, Social Security planning, all these different things, life happens.
Yep.
Divorce happens. Death happens. That's why it's so vital, in my opinion, to meet once a year at minimum to look at all these things. And that doesn't matter, Tim. You just said it could be a phone call.
Yeah.
But I think you guys will be okay with me saying this. Our clients right now, if they need something or they're concerned about something, all they have to do is pick up the phone, Bobby.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
That's right, and that's something that we think is important when your relationship with any advisor, whether it be financial or Medicare or anything. You need to make sure you can talk to those people and make sure you're right where you need to be.
I'll throw out a few important dates real quick.
Go ahead.
Or ages where those important planning processes may happen. Age 59 and a half is when a lot of your employers will allow you to do what's called an in-service rollover. So you can take that 401k and you can roll it into your own self-directed IRA without retiring or quitting that position, allowing you to get some more investment options out there. Age 62 is as early as you can usually turn on Social Security. Age 65, Tanner?
Medicare.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when we turn on our Medicare. Age 67 would be full retirement age for Social Security. So you can turn on Social Security and continue to work without any income limits, and also not receive any discounted benefits from Social Security. And then age 70 would be the maximum Social Security age that you can have. And the last one that I'll throw out here is age 73 right now is when your RMDs kick on. And you are forced to pull money out of those IRAs, whether you want to or not. Uncle
Yeah.
Sam wants his tax dollars.
Big deal. So, folks, listen, if you're in Chattanooga, write this number down, 423-710-9199. If you want a Social Security guide, text the word SS2026. If you want a Medicare guide, text the word Medicare. If you want a long-term care guide, text the word LTC. If you're in Knoxville, write this number down, 865-951-7526. I did say it incorrectly earlier. 865-951-7526. Again, SS 2026, LTC, Medicare, text those words. However, if you just want a copy of my book, Plan Today, Own Tomorrow, use those same numbers and text the word book. We're going to get a book right out to you. You can go to plantodayoffer.com. Or if you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, you can scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. So the day show's been good, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, very
great show.
educational. Social Security, long-term care planning, Medicare planning, income planning. Talked about a lot of different things. I appreciate you guys being on the show with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for
And
having me, Gary.
Absolutely, bud. We're going to have you in here more because Medicare AEP is coming up. So we
Right.
need to make sure people are aware of that. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Plan Today, Own Tomorrow. We'll be back next week with more great information for you. Take care. God bless.